Well, gosh darn, it's feeling like we're the best damn team in the league, brother. 5-1, top record in the NFL. Welcome back to the Fastest 40. Trey, how we feeling tonight? My God, Victory Monday for us recording today.
Well, I don't think you could say it any better. I mean, I'm feeling good. And the best part about it is when the Chiefs really figure this thing out, watch out, man, because this is going to be a dangerous team in December and January, and
That's
nobody's going
well
to
said.
stop this team, man. Yeah. I mean, what a weekend for football overall. The Niners go down. Chiefs are at the reign. I mean, if they're not the number one power rankings on today or tomorrow, today being Monday, I'll be surprised. So Philly struggled, pulled it out, but yeah, I mean, what a weekend of football, and looking forward to another one for sure, brother.
Man, I thought for sure the Giants were going to get it done last night on the Bills.
Oh,
Man, I was really banking on that happening, but
yeah,
the other two undefeated teams that went down, that doesn't affect us too much, but that would have really helped us.
yeah, 100%. I'm always rooting for the underdog. I want to see those guys win, unless it's the Chiefs, obviously.
Oh yeah, well, 100%.
Yeah,
We're gonna recap the Broncos game. I know it seems like forever ago since we just got a
yeah,
full slate of games. You're watching that Monday night Chargers Cowboys game. It's been pretty exciting so far. I've got it on my little side screen here. I'll try not to get distracted too much, but Broncos Thursday night football in Arrowhead. Crowd was jumping, man. There was a lot of energy there. We missed you. We missed you there on the at the game, but 19
school
to
night,
8.
man. It
What's
was a
up?
school night, bro. It was a
It's
school night,
cool.
bro.
We got to get up early in the morning.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but no, we ended up taking the Broncos down 19 to 8. Let's talk about players of the game, right?
Yes.
For me, it's Harrison Butker by far.
Yeah.
I mean, we were texting back and forth during the game here and there, and I think on my way home, I shot you a text like, "Hey, position groups, what are you thinking?" Right, for some show prep, and you were all on special teams, and I was right there with you, man. Harrison
Yeah.
Butker, dude, just absolute money on Thursday night. 4 for 4 with his field goals, including a 60-yarder that I missed. I was out on the concourse using the restroom. Get back, we got Roy down in the section. Roy Arnold,
Yes, sir.
Excelsior
Yep.
Springs native. Shout out to him. Always holding it down for Section 308, but the crowd starts going crazy, and I'm like, did we just hit that field goal? I was like, I'm sure we're just doing this just for shits and gigs. And sure enough, man, Harrison Butker just drills it. Hasn't missed a field goal on the year, has hit 14
Yep.
of 14. Knock on some wood for that. I got to keep that streak going. I'm a little superstitious about that stuff, but it has to be said,
Yeah.
man. He's been one of the best kickers in the league, if not the best so far, and he really finished things off when the offense couldn't. We
Yeah.
saw a lot of stalling out on third down and in the red zone. We'll talk about a little bit later, but Harrison Butker, man, we don't win that game without him.
Yeah. And after last season, his name with a lot of fans, his name was on the chopping block, right? There's a lot of
Oh,
people
he was getting
calling for,
dragged.
yeah, calling for Harrison Butker to hit the road. And we saw that with Carlos Santos as well, right? So he struggled a little bit, and everybody's like, get this guy out of here, right? So
Yeah. A little
I'm
injury helped
happy.
with that too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Harrison Butker making a comeback this year. He looks great, and it's nice to rally behind a guy after having a tough season. And there was
Yeah.
numerous conversations we had last year about, stick with it. Stick with the guy. He can do this. We'll be able to figure this out. And it's kind of hit or miss. You and I see the same view sometimes, but a lot of times we see it differently. And we were both consistent on that fact that Harrison Butker has the capability. We just got to figure out what the kink was, and obviously something happened over the off season, whatever that was, or what preseason, whatever it may be, to where he's able to figure that out. But jumping into my pick or my player of the game, it's going to be Travis Kelce. Jumps over the 100-yard hurdle first time this season. So he hit 124 yards on 9 catches, and I don't think he was over 68 yards for the year so far. So he's kind of gonna have to see that progression and make those plays moving forward as we continue to develop this receiving core. So whether Travis is going to be the main guy, moving forward, obviously he's the best ball catcher on our football team, but is he going to be the shining light for the offense, right? So my man's 34 years old. Obviously he's still got game left, but he's going to be a constant. Yeah. He's going to be a constant threat. And so my personal belief is that Andy Reid's going to really dive into what Travis can do, and we're going to start to push the envelope on Travis and develop a ground game. And whatever happens with the pass game, with the receiving core, that's what happens. It is what it is. If we can get Travis established, get the run game established, I think we'll be able to put something together and be able to push the receiving core off for a couple months. But 7 seasons in a row with 1,000 yards. So I think he's sitting at like 360 something, 364 or something like that so far on the season.
Yep.
Does he hit 1K again? Does he hit 8 seasons?
Man, he's right around 70 yards a game right now. He missed that first game, obviously, with that injury, hyperextension or bruised knee is what it ended up being. 70 yards a game. I mean, quick math doing 70 times 16, 700, 350. I mean, he's pacing right at 1,050 on the season. So, with with everything that he's doing right now, he's going to get there. But my big question is whether or not he's going to maintain his health throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Just look at what he's done in those 7 seasons, including and just looking at the last 5 alone. The Chiefs have played more football games than any other team in the last 5 years, including their playoff runs, Super Bowls. I mean, we're talking 3 Super Bowl runs and then 2 that stopped short in the AFC Championship game. And Kelsey has been a part of over 95% of those games that were played. And so all of that punishment, you're playing more football than anyone else, you're maintaining that health. That's been a huge testament to what he's been able to do, what the staff's been able to do. But is that sustainable 34, 35, 36 years old? I'm not entirely sure. We've already seen a couple of ankle and knee injuries up to this point, and so that's going to be my concern. I mean, he's healthy, 100% he's getting 1,000 yards this year. If not, it's going to be a little bit tougher. It's going to be a little bit tougher.
Sure.
And, Mahomes will have to figure out who's going to be that outlet moving forward. Cause you talked about it too, right? He's the focal point of the offense. He's going to be that person that's going to be the go-to read on any of the plays when Mahomes is dropping back or even coming out from under center.
Yeah.
Without him on the field, we'll have to figure that out too. But 1,000 yards, it's in the targets right now. It's in the sights.
Yeah, and something else to think about this before we move on to the injury report is that if we have 1 seed locked up before Christmas, he might not play until week 2 of the postseason. We might not see Travis for a month. If things go the way we want them to go, so he might miss. Typically you see those guys miss the last game of the year, but with Travis being 34, we have the 1 seed locked up, or we have. There's no way to get a higher seed. We have the AFC West locked up, and Andy says, hey, look, we don't need you to play the Chargers, the first week of January. And Cincinnati Bengals are, 1-16, so are 2-15. So, we don't need you to play the Bengals either. So, all right, with that. Yeah. With that, I'm gonna bring us into the post-game injury report. And this one's by Better Homes and Garden. This one's specifically for my wife, Katie Lawrence, who is working with Better Homes and Garden as a real estate agent. She is a premier real estate agent here in the Kansas City area, and she serves the whole area. So she isn't particular to one specific area in Kansas City, whether it be Parkville, Excelsior, down south, whatever it may be. She serves everybody, and she's really just looking to help you find the house that you want, or sell your house if you're looking to sell your house, or build a house. If you want to build a house, she's in the process of helping a family right now build their first dream home. So that's exciting stuff. But Dan, with the post-game injury report, why don't you kind of walk us through that, bro?
Yeah, just one injury really to highlight here before we get into the full-on game highlights, and it's Justin Watson. He came down awkward on that diving catch attempt. I want to say it was the second quarter, middle of second. He ends up laying out for a ball, a deep pass, and I wasn't watching the game from the broadcast, so I didn't get the angles that you guys might have. They didn't show anything on the jumbotron, but from what I was told, it looked like maybe he tweaked his wrist or injured his wrist in some way, shape, or form. And there's the group of guys that stand behind us at the Chiefs games. They were all kind of talking about it. They got their ear to this as we're watching. But that was kind of the rumblings there. And then we even end up finding out it's an elbow injury, and one that's going to be significant. So he'll miss some time, potential to place him on the IR. Now, I don't know if that means we're going to go out and get a wide receiver, especially since we're about to bring Charles Omenihu back onto the roster. That just allows us to do a little bit of shuffling there. We have like 7 wide receivers on our roster right now anyway. So bringing Charles Omenihu in, placing him on the IR, definitely a move that I could foresee happening sometime midweek. But we're going to miss Watson for at least 3, maybe 4 games, I would think, or at least based on what I've seen.
Yeah, and obviously you want to see that guy develop with Pat and the rest of that wide receiving core, but maybe it's time, maybe it's a chance for next guy up. Let's see what the next guy's got and make some plays. But to tap into some highlights here, Dan, this one's for the Swifties here. So T Swift was in attendance for the game. Yeah, I mean, my wife came out with like a pose on the deck before the game started. She's like, Taylor Swift is there. I was like, okay, I was waiting for the news. But Chiefs 3-0 with T Swift in attendance. So this was another one for her to enjoy at Arrowhead. So what an experience. Matter of fact, what she needs to do, she needs to get down there with the people and experience Arrowhead.
Get in the mosh pit, T Swift.
Yeah, get some. You got to get down there. Yeah. 11th straight season with the 5-game win streak. So that is very underrated. That is consistent football right there, dude. That's flat out impressive to have that on the record. So I would say, I don't know what the other stats are in the league, but I would say maybe Bill Belichick and the Patriots only have something like that. That'd be interesting to find out.
It's a Patriots Tom Brady type of stat. 11 great seasons with at least 5 or more games won in a row. Like, that's a LeBron James-esque statistic. Like, that's pulling out for dynasty talk. And I don't like to throw that D word around lightly or anything, but the sustained success that we've seen with Andy Reid and our team here in Kansas City, this just speaks to it. We know how to string them together. We know how to win when it matters, and we can do it in bunches. So, if that doesn't give you a vote of confidence, despite what we've seen with our offensive struggles and some of the other struggles in these areas, like, I don't know what will. I don't know what you want from our guys.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So, this one kind of goes, our next topic here kind of goes into the same kind of alleyway here. Mahomes has beaten Denver 12 times, tying Otto Graham. Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, he's never lost to Denver. Tying Otto Graham for the most wins against a single team in a row to start a career. I don't see this one ending anytime soon either. So we're going to tack on number 13 later on this season.
In the rain.
Yeah.
And all those
Chris Jones makes it. Yeah, right. Chris Jones makes it 5 straight with a sack. So we talked about this last week when we kind of dove into the D line. Chris Jones, 5 straight games with a sack. Obviously, those are all wins. Chris Jones also missed game 1, as we spoke about earlier with Travis. Harrison Butker, obviously, we touched on him earlier, bro. And I'm going to dive into the special teams a little bit later and talk about that a little bit more in depth. But baller, man. Glad to have him, dialed in this season like we just talked about. But
been great.
Yeah, and another guy I'm going to talk about again later is Tommy Townsend. What an absolute boot. I mean, inside the 20s, I think it was 2 weeks ago when he dialed one in on like the 2 yard line. And
Just
for
nasty.
such a not exciting play, that is so exciting to see somebody just drop one in within the 5, bro.
Nothing juices me up more than a great punt, to tell you the truth. Like, I just think back to the Madden days whenever I was playing like those mini games. You play the coffin corner mini game or
Yep,
the
yep.
inside the 20 mini game, you get your points when you rack them up. Like, if I nailed one of those things and it bounced out of bounds perfectly at the 2 yard line, I was like, oh, dude, ain't nobody touching me on this. Nobody wants it on the
Yeah.
sticks, dude. I'll pin you so deep. I'll get a safety. And the defense is fired up whenever they get that ball. The offense
Oh,
gets the
yeah.
ball inside the 2 because they're hungry. They're trying to get after you in your own end zone, back you up in your own territory. We're talking about
Yeah.
in the middle of Arrowhead, you're backed up in that end zone. You're not hearing a damn thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Think
So,
that
to
1990
our
John
next
Elway clip.
to the defense, though, kind of run through some top hitters on that defense on what we saw from that defense last Thursday against the Broncos.
Good Lord, man. I mean, if it wasn't for a couple suspect calls on that drive that's helped the Broncos sustain their drive, and, obviously we didn't stop them on that 2-point conversion either. We held them to just 8 points. So, I mean, great showing from the defense. None of that came until much later in the game. Everything we've seen from our defense this year has been nothing short of elite. 9 turnovers generated so far. 8 of those have been interceptions. We're top 10 in the league in generating turnovers. We're allowing less than 15 points per game, 14.7 to be exact. We're just a shade under the number 1 defensive team, which is the 49ers at the moment. We're allowing less than 5 yards of play. So 4.7 yards per play is good for top 5 in the league in that statistic as well. Now, this is the part of the defense that I think is most intriguing to me. Our point differential, okay, plus 59 point differential across these first 6 games is the largest since Patrick Mahomes became the full-time starter in 2018 through the first 6 weeks of a season.
Yeah, yeah.
We're doing this with the lowest point total the offense has ever produced under Patrick Mahomes in that same exact span, that same exact window. And our
Right.
defense has also been the best in that 6-week stretch as well. But the fact that our defense is closing that gap enough to make us a better team in all
Yeah.
reality we've been in previous seasons, a more balanced team, if you will. I mean, I think that just speaks volumes to what we've done in the draft, what we've done developing our talent, what we've done schematically with Spagnolo on that side of the ball. Finally, and I think this speaks to the coaching issue in the NFL too, where teams are just giving up on these coaches way too soon. Now, if they're a bad coach, you'll see that in a 3-4 year span. Spagnuolo's been with this defense this is his 4th season now, and we're finally getting that culmination. We've seen flashes over these last 4 seasons, enough to accumulate a couple Super Bowl rings even. But now we're seeing that full defensive potential come to fruition so far in the season. Now, you can chalk it up to our competition in that span. I mean, that would be a totally fair point, right? We're playing the
Yeah.
Broncos, the Jets without Aaron Rodgers, the Bears, who have been a terrible team. I mean, terrible team offensively, minus the game against the Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football. So, I mean, that is a fair point, right? And we're going to get some tests later on in the season. We're about to face the Chargers, who have been a fantastic team offensively, not so much defensively. But everything we've seen from this defense has been nothing short of spectacular. 7 touchdowns in just 6 games. What else do you want? What else do
Yeah.
you need? Are you
Right.
not entertained?
Yeah. and to my point earlier, wait until the offense really dials in, because
Exactly.
we're going to talk about it here in just a minute. And when Pat Mahomes can really fine tune this offense to be exactly what he wants it to be. And again, it doesn't have to be the 2019 offense where he's, MVP season where he's slinging tutty after tutty after tutty for 500 yards, several games in the season. We don't need that Pat Mahomes. We need game management, a couple tutties here. We need 24 points a game, 21 points a game. Theoretically, we need 15 points a game. You know what I mean? So if we could figure
just
that
going
out,
off the numbers here.
yeah, right. But I mean, if we can really dial in, and it's been a complete flip flop, man. You know, this is honestly a crazy stat, and not just for Andy Reid, but for Patrick Mahomes as well. So it's exciting to see, because I quite honestly, I think that the offense is going to have it figured out in, you know, a month or two. And once they do, man, it's honestly game over. I mean, at that point, I would not be afraid of anybody. Miami, San Fran, Buffalo, I mean, Eagles. I'm not worried about the Eagles anyways, but, you know, wouldn't matter. And wouldn't matter against whoever we're playing. But just to dive into the offense just a little bit here, Dan, you know, they were good enough, but not great, right? So we've talked about it a little bit. 4 of 13 on third down. 1 of 5 in the red zone. That's the killer. 1 of 5 in the red zone, bro. You got to finish.
My gosh.
You got to finish.
I was
couple poor decisions.
Dude.
Yeah,
screaming
man.
In the stands.
We were pretty hot as well. So at one point, you know, the stadium was booing, and I was like, "Come on, man, really? Let's don't take this too far, right?"
It was on that sneak play. You have the best quarterback in the game on 4th and 2. I'm not saying run him up the gut and push him through, but damn, he can do anything. We saw this guy convert a 3rd and 25, and he galloped his way to get it done. Like, just give the guy the rock and let him have a chance. It was driving me crazy.
But I mean, couple poor decisions we saw by Mahomes, and this is consistent throughout the season so far. You know, he's made some odd throws where he does not usually make that throw. Usually he's more accurate on this when he throws off the heel, and when he's rolling out, he's not as accurate as he was before. And nothing has happened to Pat Mahomes to create a worse player, right? He's not any worse than he was last year. I think this is a macro problem. You know, I don't think it's specific to, you know, Pat Mahomes. I think it's more of the scheme of what's going on, the performance we're seeing on the outside of the hashes. I think that's kind of where the trust has kind of been broken, or not even established for that matter. So once that's built, once those things start to develop and change, we'll start to see Pat making better decisions. And maybe it's more of a check down game and let's hit Travis Kelce in the middle and maybe MVS over the top once or twice. Maybe that's the game plan for the rest of the season until we can get some dialed in. But Pacheco averaged under 4 yards per carry against the worst rush defense in the league. My man's got to be better. So we highlighted him a couple weeks ago. Obviously went over 100 yards, but we have to establish that ground game. That's got to be a 100% must for the offense going into every single game, is that the rush attack is going to be 100% solid.
I thought for sure he was going to have a monster game, Isaiah Pacheco, that is. I mean, these guys have just been Swiss cheese when it comes to running backs and their ability to find holes in that thing. I mean, it was very frustrating to not see a little more production. And, you know, it felt like he was getting plenty of opportunity. But I do want to touch on Mahomes too, because you brought something up that I think is a good point, and it's about the lack of trust and the lack of chemistry with those receivers. And I think we're getting better, but that game last night just showed that there wasn't as much trust there, which is why we got the 124-yard 9-catch performance from Travis Kelce, and however many more passes were caught by the running backs, because he trusts them a little bit more than those guys catching passes outside the hashes. But that throw that Mahomes threw for the interception, what drove me up the wall about that was he literally had a guy hanging on to his leg like a 4-year-old on their parent. Just, why are you trying to chuck the ball down the field when you've got a 350-pound man literally anchoring you to the ground? Just check it down, throw the ball away, take the loss of down, and live to fight another day. Instead, he chucks the ball up, short arms it because he can't drive off of that back foot, and we find ourselves having to put our defense right back on the field. It's just decisions like that have been driving me crazy about Mahomes, at least up to this point this year. Now, I'm not saying anything about because he's been fantastic other than those like 5 or 6 throws where he's just done something that's like, I got to scratch my head about it. So I don't know what, I just really want to see this offense get back together. I know our defense is hitting their stride right now, but I don't want this to get to a point where these guys are getting complacent on offense and saying our defense is always going to have our back in this situation. You know, we don't have to worry about anything else. We're just going to coast. That's the total opposite of what I'm hoping happens with the team. And I know they're going to be committed to getting things figured out, but just need to
Yeah.
see it sooner rather than later because our schedule's about to heat up in November.
Yeah, 100%. But jumping into focus groups here, Dan, you're gonna dive into our defensive backs here. Let's get this kicked off, bro.
Man, these guys have just been impressing me throughout this entire season. And they held Russell Wilson, who statistically had been comparable to Patrick Mahomes going into this game. Similar yards per game, less interceptions, one less touchdown maybe. He's been scrambling a little bit more this year, Russell Wilson has. And we saw him get held to just 44 passing yards at the start of the fourth quarter, which I didn't realize it because I was at the game. I look up and see it on the ticker right above the Ring of Honor. And I'm like, are you serious? This guy's less than 50 passing yards right now. It didn't even feel like it for whatever reason. And,
Yeah.
ends the game with less than 100. We stopped the count at 95 on Russell Wilson for his passing yards. And, man, it just speaks to how this defense has been locking guys down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, Cortland Sutton caught that touchdown. But other than that, these guys were not getting anything going offensively. And I think it all started with our defensive backs. Justin Reed ended up getting a sack later in the game, 1 of 4 by the defense, including the one from Chris Jones. I think some guys split a couple sacks here and there as well.
Yep.
But that heads up play, and this is the most impressive play. And I caught this watching the game, luckily. Snead lined up on the outside, Brian Cook on the inside, kind of playing the nickel man role. And you got Justin Reed on the back end. They recognize something, and it could be something that Brian Cook recognized or Justin Reed communicated it. I wasn't sure how that transpired. All I saw was Brian Cook motion over to Snead on the outside. They switch. Brian Cook goes on the outside. Snead comes into the slot to cover that receiver. And it disguised the coverage so that Justin Reed could come underneath and snag that tip pass and pick that off. Just the way that they're communicating out there, you can see the chemistry with our defensive backs, with our safeties, with our corners, and everything that they're doing on the back end has just been very, very impressive to me. From McDuffie to Snead to the guys on the back end offering them help. Shamari Connor had a nice play in that game. I think he was a part of a sack or some pressure on the quarterback as well early on in the game. I mean, rookie making contributions. So you just love to see that. Love to see him fully healthy. We got Josh Williams and Jalen Watson both playing as well. So another solid performance by those guys. And you can give some credit to the defensive line for forcing some pressure and making their job easier. But the defensive line, they have to give some credit to safety too, because the quarterback's holding on to that ball for a long time for a reason.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So to jump into mine here, Dan, I'm not going to spend too much time because we already talked about Harrison Butker quite a bit, and we jumped into Tommy a little bit as well. But I'm going to bring this in with the Atlas Saloon. So the Atlas was built in 1894. 1894. Every time I say that, I'm like, holy shit,
Not
man,
real.
that is old.
Yeah, not real, mate.
Yeah. So when you walk in there, it's kind of got that old school vibe to it. It's real comfy. You know, I like that kind of environment. I like to be in kind of an old school saloon type vibe. They started brewing beer in 2018. They got 10 craft beers on tap right now. I just swung by today. So I had today off, swung by the Atlas today. Keith was actually in there brewing some beer when I swung by.
Guy.
So, I mean, He's always got something going, man. I swear he's always making some kind of beer back there or brewing some kind of beer back there, which is fun.
What are you
Fun
up
for the
to,
drinkers
Keith?
as well. Yeah. Right now, the Scottish Ale is the number one rated beer. And then as far as events go, on Tuesdays they got free pool. Wednesdays they got open mic night. Thursdays is live music. Be sure to wear your Atlas shirt down there. Get your first beer for free. And then game day. Anytime the Chiefs are playing, it's a party down there. They got tons of food. They got all kinds of people bringing in food, wings, dips, all that good stuff. Obviously, Keith's got plenty of beers for everybody to drink. And then everybody's sitting around. If you're not a Chiefs fan, it would still be a good environment to go hang out and see, what Chiefs fans are about on game day and experience that for yourself. So, Dan, with that being said, I'm going to bring it in here with the special teams. And, unfortunately, I'm not going to really talk about returning at all because, what Goodell has done with the league. You can't – there's not really a lot of returns. We didn't even have a kick return in this game. We didn't even have a kick return in the game.
No.
As we talked about earlier, though, Butker is 4 for 4. Sitting on the season right now is 14 out of 14. He's also batting 1,000 on extra points, where we saw that rule change. You back the field goal, the extra points up to the 25. We started seeing guys start to shank those extra points, and that affects games. That 1 point is a big damn deal when it goes into games. So those extra points are still key. He's the leading scorer for the Chiefs right now. He had that 60-yard bomb that you told the story of while you're in Arrowhead, which is awesome. Sorry that you missed it, but at least you could say you were there, right? And then to dive into Tommy Townsend a little bit. So he was 1 of 3 on punts against the Broncos. 1 of 3 of those was inside the 20. And as of right now, as the season stands, he's 8 of 18 inside the 20. My man's got 8 of 18 inside the 20, man. So, that's impressive, to be able to put somebody back and put that defense that we see playing at such a high level and put them in a position where they can succeed. That's such a big deal, man. And
keep them on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And pin those guys back and create opportunities for Spags to cook up some extra stuff for that defense and put some pressure on some quarterbacks.
Oh, I love it. Everything I've seen from that group so far this year has been pretty darn awesome. How cool to be to get 2 first-team All-Pros out of Butker and Townsend. Back-to-back.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Would be.
Yep.
Awesome. So we'll wrap the show. Obviously, a lot of things to clean up for the Chiefs based on what we've talked about so far. We're looking to clean those up as we get to the Chargers. We'll have another episode coming out later this week to dive into some of that and lay out week 7. Week 6 is already wrapped up. That just blows my mind. AFC Landscape. We'll get into that, kind of covering everything there standings wise. Brought to you by eCoffee, www.eeroastscoffee.com. They are KC local, so you can find them in Liberty Mo, roasting the beans, grinding them if you want, and send out wherever they need to go. The best part is they're pulling the coffee from all of the best places in the world to get coffee. Ethiopia, Colombia, all of the different types of blends that create the best aromas, the best flavors that you want in your cup when you wake up. eCoffee's making sure they put it together. So check them out and get an order, subscription, espresso, whatever you need. They can take care of you. www.eeroastscoffee.com. Key matchups in the AFC for week 6, Baltimore, Tennessee, and London. Baltimore takes the cake 24-16. It really didn't feel like that close of a game the entire time. Ryan Tannehill actually got hurt as well. Titans are 2-4 now. Smells like their season's over, unfortunately. So that's one you can go ahead and stick a fork in with the Titans, especially with Tannehill missing some time. I do not trust Levis or Malik Willis to keep them afloat for playoff contention. Colts travel to Jacksonville with Gardner Minshew under center. Jags get the dub 37-20. And that final AFC matchup, big one, is the Cowboys at Chargers. That one's ongoing right now, tied 7-7 in the middle of the second. So we'll see what happens there. But a surprise matchup in the AFC that was, I think, spoke volumes, and it's the Browns taking down the San Francisco 49ers without Deshaun Watson. Okay.
Yep.
There was no Deshaun Watson. This just gives so much credit to that defensive unit for the Cleveland Browns, bringing their brand of AFC North football to the NFC and just owning them. I mean, what a dominating win. And then we saw the same thing with the Jets as well, taking down the Eagles. Those are two teams that obviously the Jets gave us some problems here and there in that game. We end up coming out with the W, but with Cleveland potentially getting in position for a postseason run, that defense is what you do not want to see in cold weather, because that's what they live for. They live for cold weather in Cleveland. Going through the rest of the AFC, Chiefs lead the AFC, best record in the league, tied with the Lions and Dolphins at 5-1. If you were to tell me 5 years ago the Chiefs would be #1 record in the NFL at one point with the Dolphins and the Lions, I would have laughed at you. But those guys are all holding it down at 5-1. Ravens lead the AFC North at 4-2. Steelers were on a bye, of course. We'll see what happens whenever they even things out with their buys. Jaguars lead the South at 4-2, with the Bills sitting at 4-2, just a shade under the Dolphins. They have the tiebreaker, though. And then you've got the 3-3 Jets, Texans, Raiders, and Bengals. Raiders stringing together some wins. Look at them go. The Bengals are back to 500. That was something I didn't want to see. They snuck that one out. Yeah. And then Steelers and Browns sit at 3-2. So AFC starting to shake out some wins. It was looking a little suspect in the beginning there. Is like, who are these teams? Are they who we thought they were? What's going on? And now we're getting some streaks going over there in the AFC.
Yeah. Which I want to see some competitive play, man. I don't want to see a 8-win team sitting in, the last 2 wild card spots. So I want to see some elevated play. Bengals earlier, I thought they had 2 wins. I guess they got 3. Whatever, they can be 3-14 or whatever. I don't care.
Or 3-14's acceptable for us here on the show.
Yeah. But exciting to see, some of those teams. I mean, the Colts, Texans look good. CJ Stroud looks damn good. Raiders are got a big question mark, but it'll be exciting to see how this pans out. Next 6 weeks are going to be exciting.
No, absolutely. There's going to be some solid matchups to get into next week with the Chargers coming to town. That's always a lot of fun to talk about, how the Chiefs are going to fare against them, what that's going to look like. I don't think I've been to a Chiefs and Chargers game that wasn't decided by a possession or 7 points or less, maybe is the best way to put that. So you always know you're going to get fireworks when Mahomes and Herbert are on the field. It's just Mahomes has only dropped one of those games, so it's definitely played out in our favor. But we'll get to dive more into that later this week, man. I'm so excited to keep this season pushing on, and oh man, it's just flying by so fast.
Yeah, it is. It sure is. But I mean, it's been a fun one so far. Been a fun season and been an interesting season. This has been one of the more odd seasons we've had for me, looking from the outside. But it's gonna be exciting. I had the chance to see Casey Wolf yesterday, so I feel like I have some good luck on my side right now.
Oh yeah,
so
did he give you the hip shake?
Oh yeah. Oh dude, he was shaking that ass all over the place, man.
Crazy eyes and ass shaking.
Yeah. I had a Chiefs hoodie on, and he came up and tapped me on the shoulder, and he was like, doing one of these things. So it was fun. Yeah. So we had a grand opening here in Excelsior for Stride, new jiu-jitsu gym here in town. So
cool.
They had Casey Wolf came out, and it was pretty cool.
You're practicing there, aren't you?
Yeah, I just started today. Today was my first time rolling on the mat since high school, man.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Get after it, baby.
Yeah.
You got to take Hudson down.
Yeah, Hudson could probably tie me in a pretzel at this moment.
Hell yeah. That's the show, folks. We're gonna call it. We'll get back on here later this week. Make sure you give us a follow on IG at the fastest_40 and Twitter. We're gonna start pushing some things out there, getting some content out for you guys. Give me a follow on Twitter and IG as well at Dan_TF40. And soon Trey will be back on social media as well. If you're looking for us on YouTube, you can catch us on the Odyssey Sports page, the Fastest 40 playlist. We will see you guys later this week. Peace.
Let's go Chiefs.